I'm 43 and I've lived a relatively unhealthy lifestyle and life, and so I decided I'm going to turn back the hands of time. And so I switched doctors, and I'm going to take you on this journey. I joined an athletic competition, and I'm going to take you on that journey too. It's a journey of health. Let's do this together. You even get to see how much I weigh. Microphone on. Buenas dzeni pomsu gaige giya. Kandit, since Guam's preparations for Typhoon Mawar, has had a standing policy not to criticize Governor Leon Guerrero through the typhoon and in its wake until a semblance of stability returns. We assigned that threshold at 50% power restoration. Today, Guam Power Authority surpassed the mark, restoring 53% of customer demand for electricity. GPA's linemen are the MVPs of the disaster recovery effort. They are restoring power in record time. 2 decades ago, in the aftermath of Super Typhoon Pongsona, it took GPA of yesteryear an average of 2 to 3 months to restore power, with some going 6 to 8 months without. We also have many blessings to count. No lives were lost. Most homes were spared complete destruction. And the federal disaster assistance pipeline began flowing even before the typhoon got here. This is because of the excellent work Governor Leon Guerrero did in preparing Guam for the disaster. She did not hesitate to prepare us, taking a risk by warning us early about the possibility of a disastrous typhoon. In all my years of experience in the government, to include several years as head of the Joint Information Center working closely with former Governor Eddie Calvo, I have never seen a governor more decisive and caring for the plight of the most vulnerable before a storm than Governor Leon Guerrero. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same about her leadership following Typhoon Mawar's passage. The disaster recovery has been a disaster, partly due to forces beyond the governor's control, but completely due to the governor's thus far inability to manage the recovery process despite the challenges. Yes, the cell phones went down. But what about the loudspeakers and the availability of GovGuam workers for boots on the ground, daily canvassing of neighborhoods with pamphlets to spread the essential information? This is not a new concept, but one built into the emergency response protocol during the North Korean missile crisis. I know this to be true because I personally built that in, foreseeing the possibility that island-wide cell service and radio communication would go down as early as 2014. In the absence of communications, rumors will abound and dangerous information will go viral. This is Crisis Communications 101. It is literally taught at a school in Maryland that Guam Homeland Security Office of Civil Defense spends a great deal of money sending employees to. And it is a fundamental truth of disaster management. But it wasn't just the lacking communication. It is abundantly clear that for whatever reason, the governor and her Emergency Operations Center are not being faithful to the Guam Emergency Response Plan. That plan has won national recognition for its efficacy in previous typhoons, earthquakes, tsunami scares, and the North Korean missile crisis in assembling and executing the best disaster responses in the country. Significant gaps in operations have dangerously stalled progress that should have been made within days of the typhoon. Why did it take so long to get water to the dialysis centers? Why to now are people dependent on insulin in the dark about how they can store their medicines? What about other critical operations and information needed by those who rely on medical, physical, and pharmaceutical therapy? Why are people who have lost their homes from the typhoon being turned away from the emergency shelters by the Superintendent of Education? What about services for people with disabilities to include transportation, therapy, and basic services? The unnecessary rush and lines for gas is a prime example of significant operational shortfall in the Emergency Operations Center. The hoarding of information about what federal programs the administration is working on to alleviate financial burdens like housing, food stamps, and cash services serves no proper purpose. Let people know what you're working on. And how about life after Mawar? It is abundantly clear the Emergency Operations Center has not included the necessary private sector support function for the planning of the return of tourism, the road to construction recovery, and the strained relationship with the military brought on by the dismal attitude and non-participation of Rear Admiral Benjamin Nicholson. The disaster recovery requires emergency management skill. It requires someone who knows what they're doing, which more often than not refers to someone who has done this before. This is not a burn on Ms. Leon Guerrero, but a simple recognition of this shortcoming. We cannot afford any longer to be led by someone who is very obviously struggling with on-the-job emergency management training. And that's why we believe that there is a simple and reachable solution for Governor Leon Guerrero. Governor, you can remain the face of the operation, but it may be a good idea to step aside quietly and allow one of two people to actually lead operations and communications. Within your cabinet is the governor with the most experience helping the people of Guam to recover from typhoons, former Governor Carl Gutierrez. Mr. Gutierrez, who now heads the Guam Visitors Bureau, led us through 3 super typhoons, Paka, Chataan, and Pangsona, and the several typhoons in between. He was visible, he was in charge, he knows how to do this. The other person who works right next to you, Governor, your Lieutenant Governor, Josh Tenorio. Mr. Tenorio was the Deputy Chief of Staff for Governor Gutierrez. In fact, it was Mr. Tenorio who led the post-Pangsona disaster recovery effort as the governor's authorized representative. Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio knows how to lead us through a typhoon recovery. Use one of them. And don't make it Jim Moylan. He's our congressman, and he's doing absolutely nothing. The disaster recovery is far from over. When people stop looking for places to do laundry, they will be looking for ways to buy food to restock what they threw away. And when that dust settles, the now unemployed will look for jobs. And as that is happening, if not all the recovery coordination cylinders are fired up, there will be a great gap between the people who need to feed their families and the tourism-dependent companies that can hire them but can't open because of government inefficiency or a failure to see that now is the time to reach out to our markets with a plan that should have been written last week by the governor herself. Where is that plan? Governor, this is only a suggestion. It is made with the utmost concern and care for the people of Guam. No matter what you decide to do, Kandit remains by your side to support your leadership in this most dark hour in our island's recent history. God bless you, and may Our Lady of Mount Carmel pray for us. May San Jose pray for us. May San Isidro pray for us. May San Francisco de Borja pray for us. And may Santa Maria Camalan pray for us. Ipas, hugagigit sa hamzu. Good night.
Ilinala Ipalawan, Sinyabula, Minaletnya, Agan Bravo, Itatatonia.
Yet cervical cancer continues to pose a constant risk to women today due to low awareness.
Cervical cancer pasiye masek lan matan sa kontilokinyaki. Fingom somono, pap smear, and HP vaccination isa na kashing tilokinya.
Tabutokar abil amla mukar. Ego malak langar ati. Tatamare ben muraw usong la. Yang raw guru la. Ramak nitalak. Rekter umaralir.
Ang mga babaeng may edad 21 pataas ay kailangang magpabaptist kada 3 taon.
Sa dating na sontar kuwa, lari sa kwano, anana nagkakid sila ng HPV. Ewotesin todo Guam Foundation. Atogeria orates me oposut ewesemwet HPP. Erifefirifit iya patufit singeriane pagi. Ekari ni sakawa dari tentugurut nanawut me patsakuriel pefin medicine. Kiriso.
Tampaktilin cervical cancer arangan preventna från avefkachisharium novinial mahavigun katafulaika cervical cancer.
Ara ko min matan fokokos.
Be a well woman.
Mga pakla ba din iyo?
Tufnura da pinipin ang rayuga da hausroday.
Piata li Caroline.
Dangil Megka Itatao Tanya.
Maging malusog po tayong mga kababaihan.
Kitsvefi si puepeti veterasi Torres Sawal Yeririsits Purepapatsakut.
Take the first step to becoming a well woman and call Todu Guam Clinic today at 671-649-TODU to schedule an appointment.
Bottom line is we're gonna make you a better person. You're gonna be healthier and fitter than you were before.